Hey guys, welcome to Priceless B-Movies. Now, as you all know by now, I love horror movies, and I really love when the horror movies have a low budget, because then it's almost like they have to challenge themselves more, they have to try a little harder to freak us out, and, one thing I hate these days is, stuff like the Paranormal Activity movies and, films like that where they say, oh, well, suspense is what really matters. We don't actually have to show you a monster because it's what you don't see that's scary. Now, that kind of thing to me has always been kind of like masturbation without the payoff. I mean, you do eventually have to show us something. Otherwise, for people like me who are seasoned moviegoers, all we think is, well, let's see, all they did was have a couple actors screaming, and that's all this is. This isn't scary at all. There is no threat here. This is ridiculous. Now, while I really hate movies like that, it's kind of why I have to admire movies like this film I'm about to review, where they do show you a monster eventually, even if it means the monster isn't all that great. The Unholy. Now, The Unholy stars Ben Cross as a priest. Ben Cross, the only thing I really knew him from by name before I saw this film was the King Arthur movie from the mid-90s called First Knight. There he plays the villain, here he plays the hero, or rather we'll just say the protagonist. He plays a priest who, at the beginning of the film, survives without any injury a 17-story plummet out of a window. After that, he is given his own parish, his own church, because I guess the whole idea is that, wow, you're a living miracle. We should, give you your own church because it'll draw people, it'll bring people close to God. Before too long, though, Ben Cross realizes that he is going to have to do battle with a demon that is kind of terrorizing the church and the community. And this demon has this MO that basically states that the demon will only kill sinners and will only kill them in the act of sinning. And it loves virgins and it loves priests. So the demon takes a couple of different forms throughout the course of the movie. Basically, it is supposed to take the form of something that will tempt the victim. It has to tempt the victim into sinning. And if you figure, a priest is someone who probably hasn't known much, if any, kind of physical or sexual pleasure, being that the demon usually takes the form of this semi-nude redhead played by Nicole Fortier. Also showing up to complicate the plot a little further is a potential love interest played by Jill Carroll. She plays a waitress at this kind of goth, wannabe satanic themed dive bar thing. I guess these things were maybe really popular in the late 80s, early 90s, because you see this shit in a bunch of horror movies. You get the same kind of thing in Hellraiser 3, where it's like there's chains and fake skulls and stuff all over the wall. I don't see many places like that these days, but I guess this was a thing back then because it's like every other 80s horror movie had a scene set in a place like this. Jill Carroll does an okay job, but she is really miscast. For a woman who looks well into her, late 20s, early 30s, the character is supposed to be 19 years old. And not only that, but she's supposed to be, from the perspective of the priest, his object of desire that this demon will ultimately tempt him with. And sorry, but she's really not that good looking. I couldn't buy into this whatsoever. Jill Carroll's performance is good, but she's still really, really, really miscast in this. Now, The Unholy is kind of a tricky movie to review. There are some really great ideas in this, and there are some really great scenes in this, and they're usually let down, like so many movies I review, they're usually let down by a lack of budget. There isn't enough money to back up the imagination in a lot of these scenarios. So, one of my biggest gripes is near the end when you see this demon in its monster form, is what I'll call it. It looks horrible. It looks horrible. The demons in this movie, the actual monsters, are awful. I almost wish they had kept it to the, naked redhead, because she's honestly a lot better to look at than what basically amounts to a hairless dog that looks like it had sex with the monster from The Relic. Now, when I was a kid, my parents were both very religious and very into the church that we went to. My father was actually the organist and my mother was the choir director at this church. So I spent a great deal of my childhood, basically if I wasn't in school, I was in church. and I was either there for mass, or I was waiting for choir practice to end, or I was training to be an altar boy, or I was just kind of there because there was a meeting with where my parents were, or whatever reason it was. I spent a lot of time in a church as a kid, and I can say this: when you're a kid and you're by yourself in a church and it's just everything is quiet, there is this eerie thing with churches. There is this very unsettling feeling. I don't know if it's the statues of angels and demons and Christ on the cross. I don't know if it's anything visual. I think it's just this thing that we all feel inside of us, whether we're religious or not. This kind of sense of the unknown in a very soulful way of speaking. The Unholy really plays on that. A lot of the atmosphere, a lot of the scenes shot in the church where it's just Ben Cross and there's an eerie noise or there's a weird image, or you feel like he almost might be starting to go crazy. These scenes are really great. There's some really effective scares in this film in a psychological sense. Not to say that this movie is all smoke and mirrors, though. There's also a lot of red in this movie. This movie does not skimp on the hot sauce. There's a lot of blood. This is a very gory movie in certain scenes. In fact, near the end, we're treated to this kind of mental journey into hell, and we're given all these kind of very cringe-worthy images of violence and torture. I was actually kind of squirming in my seat watching some of these the first time I saw it. There's some very effective stuff in this. This movie really wants you to believe that this priest has to encounter hell. Ultimately, though, as great as some of these ideas and some of these scenes are, the movie does drag quite a bit, and it doesn't always make a whole lot of sense. And I really want this movie to be better than it is, because there's so many things about it that I love, but at the same time, it's not totally worth it necessarily. I'm going to go ahead and give The Unholy 2.5 stars. This is a very worthy entry into the kind of the horror subgenre of religious horror, as I'll put it. There are some great ideas here, but the budget is horrible. The monsters, when you do see them, aren't that great, and the film's pace is very sluggish. But if you just kind of want this intellectual, psychological horror film, and you don't mind that there's a whole lot of gore here and there, maybe you'll feel the same way I did, and you'll appreciate the film for what it is, even if you don't think it's really that great a movie for the mainstream. That's my review for The Unholy. Stay tuned, I got a lot more reviews coming and a lot more requests coming. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Priceless B movies.